if everyone got punched in the face on a regular basis, I think people would respect each other a lot more. They wouldn't talk certain ways about each other, and they wouldn't be so inconsiderate of each other.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Front Porch Chronicles. I'm your host, Clinton Foshee. Today, I got on somebody I've known a long time since he was a little fella, as I call him, Elijah Tagalog. He's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, undefeated amateur fighter. But more than that, I've known him a long time, and he's someone that I've always respected. So I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time.
I know you've always been such a hard worker and like one of the people that I kind of always admired, especially you had like this old person soul about you. Like you were young and ambitious, but also like you had the hard work and dedication. And anytime we grappled, it was always like, shit, I gotta bring you with this guy. So let's take it all the way back before the black belt, before the jujitsu, all of that. What were you like actually growing up?
When I was young, I'd say I was super adventurous. I'd try to climb anything that I could find, like a tree or some playground thing, or like be hiding under some small stuff, or like running around, like doing a lot of crazy stuff like that.
See that? Who were you back then? Not what really people saw, but who you were at the soul of you.
I would say like a kid that wants to help people and like try to make everyone feel happy and like kind of make sure that everyone can like enjoy themselves, like have their dreams come true.
But I like that. Super chill vibe. Like you've always had, like I said, this super chill vibe. Like even this, sometimes like with these interviews or whatever, it's like, oh, what if it goes this way? Or what if it, and like I'm just sitting back, I'm zen posted up. So you're a very confident guy that it seems from the outside. Were you always that confident or was it something you just kind of figured out along the way?
I would say I had to like figure it out a little bit along the way for sure. Like when I was younger, I'd be confident like in my own stuff that I do, but maybe not so much like in front of like people or in front of like I definitely was really shy actually when I was a kid. I remember whenever my mom would like introduce me to people, I'd be like holding onto her leg and like trying not to like look at them. But definitely like through jujitsu, I'd say is the most confidence builder for sure. That was the thing that like kind of helped me learn how to talk in front of people like in a public space like very comfortably, and then also to be able to perform like in a fighting sense but also just like in any sort of physical sense in front of people. I feel like very confident. Like it helped me to feel like confident to be able to dance even, stuff like that. I know some people definitely when I was younger was like kind of shy to dance, and so it's like nice to use that as like a confidence build kind of thing too.
And it makes it easier to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people struggle is stepping outside of their comfort zone. And it's like if you stay in that bubble, you're gonna stay the same person. And like
Yeah.
to evolve, you kind of have to step outside of that. What did you have to learn sooner than most people growing up?
I would say maybe like just the responsibilities of like the household, like just because my parents split up when I was young. So
Yeah.
when I was in like fifth grade, I remember my mom was like a single mom. And so I had to just kind of assume the role a little bit of like the man of the house. And so I'd say that was one thing definitely as a younger person I had to deal with.
Yeah, your mom is one of the strongest people, literally and physically. Your mom is one of the strongest people. I love her so much. Like she's so like when people talk about like an alpha female, like she is an
Yeah.
alpha like female. So like I could see where she's like, boy, you gonna learn today. What were you dealing with back then that people really didn't see?
I would say like kind of being an example for my younger brother and younger sister, and then trying to also like maybe bridge the gap between my teenage sister and my mom. That was kind of like right when I feel like it's pretty common in families when like the teenage daughter has like some conflict with the mother. So it's like I was just maybe some sort of middle ground there.
Yeah. Did that feel like pressure?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not like this overwhelming amount of pressure, but definitely some pressure as like I'm in the house. I don't want to just like sit on the sidelines. I got to step up to the plate a little bit, you know?
Yeah. It's like you said, it's always that, especially like the teenage daughters and the moms that like butt
Yeah.
heads. And it's like trying to, it's like that old saying, know when to hold them and know when to fold them, because like you want to step in and like you want to, you just want peace. And like I
Yeah.
deal with that like with my daughter and my ex, and like they'll butt heads, and like they're like so much emotion and all of this stuff involved. And I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, like, why don't we just come to a resolution and be done with it? But, sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yeah, for
When
sure.
do you feel like things really started to change for you? Was there like a moment that things shifted for you?
I would say kind of when I found jujitsu, just because it's something that felt like very natural for me. And then it gave me an area that I can continually get better every day, like have a very strong desire to constantly get better. And also like an area to test myself, like in competitions, tournaments, you know? And so I was able to build a lot of experience through that. And then also create like a career, because now I'm a coach as well. Like I do
Yeah.
private lessons. I have a kid doing a tournament this weekend actually, and like it's nice to be able to coach kids that are brand new to the sport and then
Yeah.
build them up to a space where they're like winning gold medals at tournaments and stuff. And even for myself, like continuing to compete in MMA, like it's very good challenge. Being able to use combat sports to like better yourself every day and like push yourself is something that's like very helpful for me.
And make the world a better place at the same
Yeah,
time. Like,
for
you know what I
sure.
mean? Fostering that in people.
Yeah.
How did jujitsu come into your life?
Actually, I had a friend. He's from Brazil. His name's
Yeah,
Lucas. He invited me to go
I
train.
remember Lucas.
Yeah. So he trained when he was like really young, and then he kind of forgot about it. And I remember me and him were talking like, "Man, we got to learn how to fight. Like when we have girlfriends, we had to be able to like protect them." It was like that's like exactly what I want to do. And then jujitsu kind of was the option that became available, and it was like fell in love with it. It's like so fun, so much like problem solving, you know.
Yeah. Do you feel like it humbled you right away?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was like the smallest one in the room, so it just made it like very apparent that I was like definitely smaller than everyone. That part was humbling, but then it was also good to like start to get better and then have this confidence, but then be humbled again. And it's kind of this like constant process like that.
It's a constant, like I tell people that all the time. People are like they look at it from like the fighting standpoint, and I'm like, really? It's about the internal more than it is the external. Like it's the being humbled. Like I'm coming in and like I'm this stronger guy, and I'm, yada yada yada. And like I grapple with you, and it's like, bro, you're smaller, but like you've always had like these exceptional skills, and it's almost like you're two steps ahead, and you got like the physical tools too. I used to train with you, and I used to be like, oh, shit. Like whenever we would get lined up, I'm like, oh, shit. I know him because like I knew it's people always say like I tell people it's a gift and a curse being like good at jujitsu, because it's like you train with like the best people, and the best people want to train with you. And
Yeah.
so like some days that's great, but then some days, especially on those days that you just like, fuck, I really don't feel like doing this today, and then they partner you up with all the dogs that day, and it's like, what is the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning in this? Just get my ass handed to me all day. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
all for it. So
That's like the saying, like, God gives its toughest battles to its strongest warriors, you know?
100% to see who's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Who were you before jujitsu, and who did you start turning into after?
I definitely was like a skater kid. Like when I was young, like I wanted to be a pro skater and I was like super committed to skating every day, like all the time, going to all the skate parks, different spots, trying to film, stuff like that. And then once I started doing jiu-jitsu, it kind of just changed my trajectory in life. Kind of, it gave me a lot more organization. I'd say skateboarding doesn't have as much organization as like there's a class time. You know, you have to show up
Yeah.
at class at a certain time. Compared to skateboarding, it's like, oh, let's go skate tomorrow, like whenever. So it's nice to
Just
like,
kind of free flow.
yeah, it's definitely more schedule in my life, and then it gave me a job. Like I was able to start teaching jujitsu, so it was the first job that I ever had. So that was like a huge change. It's just like having a way to make money, and then also like the other side of learning, right? So when you're learning, there's like this evolution of like you start to understand it, then you can do it, and then you can like teach it. You know, it's like the teaching part's kind of the final evolution of learning, and so that was a huge part that I started like having a kind of advanced learning process through that.
It's like jujitsu is almost like life, bro, because it's like I'm doing coaching, life coaching classes now. And like
Uh-huh.
one of the things we talk about is like constantly working on yourself and healing yourself and like your own stuff so that you can kind of be, and jujitsu is like the same thing. It's like you constantly have to be evolving and
Yeah.
like you can't get stuck in the same place or like you never evolve. You know, one of the funniest things that I tell people while we're talking about skateboarding is the time I grappled with Bob Burnquist came to the gym. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he used to
Bro,
train with us a lot.
yeah, dude, I choked him out like 50 times. And when we got done, Aaron was like, bro, you're sitting there just smashing. Do you know who that is? And I'm like, no, who is it? He's like, Bob Burnquist. I was like, holy fuck, that's Bob Burnquist? Like, what? Did you ever get to skate with him or anything?
Yeah, he actually lives like not that far from the gym. He has a compound. It's like
Yeah,
the mega ramp is there. He has like a giant like half pipe and like bowl and like some small little skate stuff. Like he has a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a giant garden and like trails around his house. Yeah, he invited me over to like ride dirt bikes and then also like skate. And then he had some like party on the mega ramp where they're like all these guys were like skating and they had like a lot of food and stuff. That was cool.
that's fucking super dope. He probably didn't invite me because I tapped his ass out 30 times.
Yeah, I mean, you did fight him like he's a normal person. He's pretty tough. He doesn't just like give up. So that's probably why it happened so many times. He just kept
Yeah.
trying.
And you know, like, you know how I am. Like, I'm fixing to get ready. You know, I had a car wreck. I had neck surgery and whatever. And I'm fixing to get ready to go back to train full time.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see how I'm going to go back because I don't really have like that easy switch. And so, like, I feel like if I don't leave training, like feeling like something is sore, then I probably didn't do something right that day. It's just like my garbage pail mentality. So I'm curious to see how I'll go back.
Yeah,
You
maybe
know,
have baby steps. Just do drills in the beginning.
I know Philippe Delamonica, who I trained under, he was like, they call me the ninja. He was like, Ninja, when you come back, like we have to take it easy. And I'm like, I'm gonna try to take it easy. Like, I don't want to like get jacked up, but you know, we shall see.
Yeah.
You know, if jujitsu never came into your life, where do you think you would be now? That's hard to
I don't
think,
know.
huh?
Maybe I'd maybe be doing like construction or something like that. Like I have friends that kind of went down that path, and it's not that bad. It's like a good life, you know. It's you can make money and like support a family, you know. So maybe I would end up doing something like that, like do construction and surf, probably something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted maybe to go in the military when I was younger, but I remember my mom was like, "Oh, you make a promise to me, you'll never be in the military," just because she was like worried for me, you know.
Yeah, they don't want to battle with her, I guarantee. You know, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think God puts us in certain places that we're supposed to be for certain reasons. And I feel like you were like looking at the evolution and kind of watching the evolution of you. One good thing about social media is I've followed you all along, even though like I moved to OC and we're farther from each other, following you in the evolution of I think you're exactly where you're supposed to be and doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And I feel like you're a light to a lot of people, even at such a young age, which is super dope because we need more people like that in this world because, you know, it's kind of a crazy place to be right now.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, you're deep in jujitsu. You got your black belt. At what point did you start thinking like, I want to move on to MMA?
I kind of always had the thought, just because initially jiu-jitsu for me, I mentioned, was kind of like self-defense. So
Yeah.
the ultimate test would be like an MMA setting. Other than that would be the street. The street is crazy though. There's
Yeah,
weapons.
we ain't trying to go to jail.
Yeah. And so like in the MMA setting, it's just like the true test of like, can you defend yourself, and like are you able to like perform the techniques that you've been practicing, like all this stuff that I've learned in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of things that have helped. Like, I'd say all of it helps for sure, but there are some things that when you start doing MMA, you just like wouldn't do that in jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu, people kind of just lay there, whereas in MMA, like, people just are moving constantly and they're trying to get back up. They don't want to like be on bottom. Nobody pulls guard. Pulling guard, it's funny, at the gym I train at, everyone will call you out for pulling guard. They're like, "Oh, this guy pulled guard. You're ashamed of the gym."
It's 100% like that. People don't understand the difference of, and like, it drives me insane. And no offense, and I'm gonna hurt some people's feelings when I say this, right? But I'm just gonna keep it 100. Now that you've done MMA, right?
Yeah.
And you'll feel what I'm about to say. It drives me fucking insane when I see people on social media and they're talking about jujitsu and grappling, and they're talking about fighter. And I have this one guy, and I'm not gonna call him out because I don't want to, have to rough nobody up. But like, I went to this this doctor, and he was helping. He was like, "Do you know such and such? He's a world champion fighter." And I'm like, "Who?" And he shows me the guy, and I'm like, "Dude is a fucking master six, ultra heavy. There's two people in his age group and weight class. Bro is not a fighter. He's on God's amount of testosterone. And like, he's just not a fighter." So I wish people would stop saying that they have fights coming up. It's like, bro, I'm grappling where I have a jujitsu match. So
Yeah.
like, and I know people are gonna get offended. And they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about? It's a fight." No, you don't pull fucking guard in an MMA fight or a fight, or you're going. I will hammer fist you. You can attempt to leg lock me all you want. Guaranteed it will not happen. I will hammer fist you to sleep. So I just wish people would stop saying that. But yeah, it's a huge transition, especially for guys who like to play guard. And like,
Yeah.
I'm a De La Hiva guard guy, right? And so would I attempt that in a fucking MMA fight? No. Would I get obliterated? Yes. Even by like the worst guy, if they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Did you feel like what was like going into your first fight? And I'm always curious about this because I know what it was for me. Going into your first fight, like, were you super stressed? Like, what was going through your mind when they shut the when?
When they shut the cage, I kind of was already like in the zone. I was like ready to go.
Yeah,
Before they closed the cage, when they still were like announcing everything and everyone's like still in there, that was kind of like surreal a little bit. Like I was kind of, because I've seen it so many times from the outside. Like a UFC fight, the guy walks out, he has his walkout music, they announce his name, they do all that. Like they announce the other guy. And so like I'm kind of seeing it from this third person view almost. I'm like, oh shoot, like I'm actually in this. And as soon as the cage locks, like actually before the cage lock, like I said, like as soon as they finished announcing, I was like, all right, I need to lock in because we're about to fight right now. I cannot like play games. I got to be like very serious. And so then I don't even really remember the cage locking. I just remember them telling me like, all right, you ready? And I'm like, yep. Yeah, that was good.
yeah. Leading up to the fight, how was it mentally for you? Was it different leading up to it?
Yeah, for sure it's different in as far as like a jiu-jitsu tournament. Like I've been doing jiu-jitsu tournaments for like close to 15 years, so it's more comfortable for me and I understand kind of what's happening. Whereas the MMA setting is like not as like familiar. All the ways that you set up, you have to get like wrapped, like you don't ever do that in a jiu-jitsu tournament. So it's like
Yeah,
all the stuff kind of leading up to the fight just was a different experience, but it was fun. I felt like I was nervous the day of. All of the days leading up to it though, I felt like some overwhelming confidence. I felt like I was like being told by God like I'm gonna win for sure, And then the day
yeah.
of, I felt like some nervousness, but I just kept like believing what I was feeling before, and I was like, I know, like I'm here to win. I'm not here to just like get hurt. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So walk us through that that first fight, you woke up that day. What moment kind of hit you the hardest going through that day? Like, oh shit, this is real.
So we did the weigh-ins. I got breakfast with one of my teammates, and then when we went home, like I went back to my house because there's a couple hours between the weigh-ins and then like when you check in to fight again.
Yeah.
I was like during that time, I think it was like 4 hours in between the way, like the breakfast and then when I was gonna check in, I was like sitting at home for 4 hours, and that just was like kind of eating away at me. I just tried to take a nap, but it was during that time I was just like, oh shit, we're gonna fight soon. It was exciting though.
How was the weight? Speaking of that, did you weigh in the same day you fought?
It was, yeah, same day weigh-ins in California.
Did you have to cut weight?
Yeah, I cut like only 10 pounds. It wasn't that much.
Okay, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
that bad. That the weight cut is everybody asks me like what is the hardest part? And I really don't remember the fight portion of it, to be honest. It was like let the bodies hit the floor playing in my head and I just running across all three times, all three rounds. I don't know what I was thinking. But the weight cut for me was the hardest part ever just because I'm a fat ass from Alabama. And so it's like trying to regulate all of that stuff. The struggle was real. Let me ask you, you went into the fight. Was it kind of what you expected, or did it hit different once you were in?
I would say like in hindsight, it's what I expected, but in the moment, I felt like, particularly the very first round, it was like very strange. Like just being able to like get my feet underneath me and kind of like get him like lined up in my sights and kind of feel comfortable throwing punches. It was kind of like there's a lot of pressure in that moment. But after because I got a takedown pretty fast, I'd say within the first like 40 seconds or something. I grabbed him and took him down. As soon as I touched him and like took him down, I was like, oh, this is like, I felt very grounded and comfortable with what's happening. Fuck, just beat the shit out of this guy. Keep taking him down and beat the shit out of him again.
Yeah, that getting that first takedown makes it easier. But yeah, it's a super awkward feeling starting out. It's just kind of like what for me, I didn't like I just ran across like we were at the club all three rounds. And I don't know what was going through my mind, bro. It was like I trained and we had a game plan and we had all of this stuff. And literally all three rounds, I sprinted across like it was a fucking, like we were at the club. And I'm like, my coach afterwards, like he talked to me in between rounds, but I don't remember. After the fight though, he was like, man, you didn't do this, you didn't. And I'm like, man, look, I just was going in there trying to do the best. I don't know what person came out in me, but whatever it was, it worked.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that. When I was getting ready for the fight, like the day of, I remember having that thought, like, man, like, what if like things don't go right? And then I was thinking, like, bro, if I walk up to this guy on the street and he tries to fight me, I'm not losing that fucking fight. Like 100%, I'm winning that fight.
Did yours go as planned? Like, did you go in there with a game plan and go through the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have been studying a lot of people, and like Hamzat is like one of the most like inspirational people probably that I've been copying. Just like take them
Yeah.
down, beat the shit out of them. Hit them, they give you a submission, but if not, just keep beating the shit out of them.
Yeah, that I'm the same way. I have no my striking actually. I can throw punches, but it's like I'm like Rocky. I have no fucking head movement. And it's just like I'm one of those people. I came up a hard head anyway. So like people just punch and like I'm just eating punches and kicks. And I can see people like, fuck, what is wrong with this dude? Like he just keeps moving forward. But that's just how I kind
Yeah,
of, I fight. That's my fight style. I'm like the Rocky without the lisp, I guess you could say.
yeah.
What do you feel like that experience taught you about yourself?
It made me feel like all the stuff I've been doing is like been working. Like everything in the training room is kind of like just a little controlled area. But then in the fight, it's like kind of like the wild. It's not so controlled. So it's nice to like test all the things that I've been working in the training room, like out in the cage.
Yeah, put it into motion. Do
Yeah.
you feel like fighting has changed you, or do you just think it kind of revealed who you already were?
I think it's definitely the latter. I definitely feel like I've always had like this fight mentality a little bit, but then now I just am actually like living it. So it's kind of being like presented more in my personality and like kind of just my daily actions.
One of the things that I've admired always, you're not like the douchebag dude. Like, I'm serious. Like, there's black belts that, like, you're like, dude, this dude is such a dude. Like, yeah, you can be good, but like, you can also have like a humbleness about you and just be a chill dude. And you're that guy. And
I
especially
appreciate
again, at your age is something that's like off the charts because most people in your same position that have been to ADCC, won competitions, done all of these things, has their black belt. They generally tend to go into the douchebag column, and you're way the opposite. Speaking of that, with your black belt, people usually expect something when you step in there. Do you feel like there's pressure with having a black belt and doing MMA, or do you just kind of block that out and do your
Um, I would say when I first started doing it, I felt that pressure more, but like the more that I've been training, like the less that I feel like it matters, just because I know like the fight has so many aspects to it. To be honest, like being a black belt helps a lot, but there are so many different factors that play into like winning a position or like being able to like connect on like a clean punch, or even like be able to get to a submission. Like I feel like it happens. I think it helps me a lot for sure, but I
yeah?
don't feel these days like that much pressure because I kind of just look at MMA as something new for me. Even though I've been doing grappling a lot and it helps me a lot. I feel like it's still a new sport, So I'm just trying to learn it.
Take it all in.
Yeah,
Yeah. What does fighting give you that nothing and jujitsu give you that nothing else does?
I would say. Well, there's like some physical relief, like
Yeah.
I've told people this and it's kind of funny. I think if every single person got punched, but not like enough to create like brain damage, just like a
Yeah.
little soft. If everyone got punched in the face on a regular basis, I think people would respect each other a lot more. They wouldn't talk certain ways about each other and they wouldn't be so inconsiderate of each other. I feel like it would be more
100%.
for
Well, it's
sure.
funny, like I watch on Twitter and like I have a lot of friends that do MMA, or in the UFC, and like I'll watch and like people are on there and they're like, oh, he should have done this and oh, why he didn't do that and yada yada. And I'm like, bro, I don't care if it's professional, amateur, or what it is, backyard Billy fights, whatever it is, if you've got the cojones to step in there and actually go through like a fight, for me, you automatically get some sort of respect. Now, again, you don't get wholehearted respect unless you like earn it because, there's a lot of guys also that are successful that are douchebags and like get caught up in the ego side of it.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about MMA and jiu-jitsu that people don't see?
Um, I would say the daily struggle. When you see MMA, most of the time you're seeing like the fight at the end of this giant like build up. Like there's the whole training camp and even all the stuff before the training camp. It's like all the days you show up to training when you're probably tired and maybe like not having an amazing day, or maybe like you didn't sleep well or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're cutting weight, all the stuff leading up to the fight is like so much. And then the fight is like just literally like the peak of the mountain, it's just so small. And then everything beneath it that built up to it, is like, that's definitely what you don't see in MMA. At least you'll see maybe some edits here and there, like little clips, but you don't really feel it because it's freaking every single day, like and then it's one day of fight, not even a day. It's like a one like hour of fighting, like one little moment.
I tell people all the time, people get so caught up in the fight. And it's like they don't look at what people because they don't know. Like
Yeah,
they don't know what fighters actually have to go through relationship wise, day in and day out life, dealing with problems. Because at the end of the day, most of the time, it's hard to just be a professional, especially when you first start. Like, as you
yeah,
know, you're not making money off of it like until you get to a certain point. So it's hard mentally, physically, emotionally. It's all of those things that lead into it. And that's why I said anybody that actually gets in there and does those things, like, gets some sort of respect for me because, like, it's hard to do.
100% it's hard. Yeah, that's like if everyone did it at least one time in their life, I think that would even change like so many people's life. It's like it'd be a great way of like way of passage for like a young man or even young women. I think it'd be so helpful for people to like know the struggle of like the physical struggle, the mental, emotional, and like spiritual struggle that goes through like your preparation and then like the fight itself and then the after fight, how you feel about all of it and all that stuff. It's like,
I think it helps process emotions. Like
yeah,
if you sit with those things, I think that's something that people need to really go through is learning how to process emotions. And I think like you said, going through the whole cycle of things because whether you win or lose, you have to process it and
yeah,
like you have to move on from that. So I agree. It's something that people really need to look more at. I wish sometimes we could have a fight somebody at work day. I think that would help out a lot within our society.
yeah. That's the
But
team building. That's some good team building.
exactly. I'm going to let you punch me, Jimmy, then I'm going to punch you back. So be very wary of how you punch me. Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, for sure.
Take away all the belts, the fights. Who is Elijah in everyday life?
I'm a guy that's trying to become a better person every day, and I'm trying to build like a family. I want to have a family in the future, and right now I have a girlfriend, so it's like every day I'm able to like be of service to her in some way or like kind of help make her day happy a little bit easier on her maybe and like try to connect with my family. I like trying to be around my parents and my brothers and my sisters. It's good to on a daily basis, like outside of my fighting, like try to spend time with like the people that are close to me, even close friends. There's friends that I'd consider family. Those are like
Yeah,
people I try to spend my time with.
true. You know, we talked about sacrifice, and this life takes a lot. Do you feel like that it's cost you anything?
The only thing I'd say is like my time. Like I could be spending my time doing other things, but I feel that it's worth it. That sacrifice of like my youth, my 20s, like my teenage years, like just like grappling and fighting is, I would not change it for anything. Honestly, it's like a super good experience. I've been able to create like a lot of skill and a lot of experience and a lot of relationship. Like I know you because of it. It's like
Yeah,
something that's very cool and it's like been building my whole life. So I really appreciate it.
yeah. Authentic relationships
Yeah.
is something that is of high value to me. Like it doesn't like a lot of times people look at things like, oh, what can they do for me? And like for me, that's the thing about jujitsu is it's taught relationships like ours where like there's nothing more than just good vibes and energy. And
Yeah.
that type shit is I'll take that all day over $1 million any day. At your core, what are 2 to 3 things that you stand on and you're not willing to compromise on?
Um, I would say people's freedom, like your freedom to do the things that you want. I think everyone should have that right. You know, I also think kind of along with that is making sure that everyone is like safe. No one gets hurt, making sure that everyone gets like the help that they need to move on to the next step in their life, like definitely being able to provide help for people and safety. And along with that would be, I guess that's kind of along the lines of the family thing, like I'd say the family's very similar to that, like making sure that everyone is like able to be themselves and then also make sure that everyone's safe and like provided for, I'd say those are like the core values for sure.
Yeah, that unconditional shit. I love that. That for me is the type of stuff I give and receive, like unconditional. Like, what is something that you're still working on right now on yourself?
I would say patience and understanding of like the process in MMA, like just in combat sports in general, it's like this daily thing where you show up, you try to do your best, you try to learn as much as you can, and then you like come home and are a little bit beat up, you know, and then like we got to do that again. And there's like areas where you did well, areas where you made mistakes, and like kind of managing that because there can be some like it's just like difficulty, like mental strain on trying to manage the winning and losing, the or like the performance and like the skill development in the training room. I'd say that's the thing I probably focus on the most. That, and then I'm always working on like patience with my family members and my loved ones and people that are close. I feel like I've made a lot of developments in that, but I mean, I think every person could always be more patient and understanding.
Percent. I'll give you some old man advice with that. Just do your best, man.
Yeah.
Far too often we get so caught up in wanting to be perfect or wanting to be everything to be perfect and whatnot. One of the things that I've learned, especially over the past couple of years, is doing my best and understanding that whatever is going to happen. And from that, I either go the right way with it or go the wrong way with it. And I keep choosing to go the right way. And eventually, it's hard to think in the moment when we take a loss or we take something isn't the way, doesn't happen the way we want it. It's hard to realize that in the moment. But most of the times when something happens that we think is the worst thing in the moment, it's the biggest lesson that we learn later on
Yeah.
from that. So, when it's all said and done, no fighting, no jujitsu, just you as a man, what do you want people to say about Elijah?
I want to say that I was super caring and happy a lot. I want to make sure that I have like a strong presence of like happiness associated with Elijah.
Man, you got my jaw sore. I usually don't smile this much, but yeah, you definitely have this energy about you that I've always appreciated. I respect that. And you choosing to be just a solid person before that. Before we wrap up, what's next for you? You have any fights coming up or anything that you've got coming up?
Yeah, planning on fighting in May for Epic, the same promotion
Okay.
I fought before. I think that's towards the end, maybe the 27th, I believe, something like that. And then I think I might do ADCC trials. That was another one. I think that's the end of April, I believe, or the middle of April. Yeah.
Yeah, let me know about the fight coming up in May
Okay.
so that way I can block out and I'll come check you out. I'll
Hell,
buy tickets.
all right.
Where can people go to follow you and stay tapped in with you?
On was it Instagram?
Yeah,
Lapu Lapu MMA.
I'll put it down in the links. I want to thank you for coming on, bro. And you already know if you ever need anything from me, I'm always here for you.
All right, thanks, man. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you, brother. We're signing off. Have a good one.
All right, see you, man. Have a good one.